Welcome to Music World, a place where music is the source of all life. Wasn't it called Rhythma? Once a year, Major Minor hosts a dance contest that anyone can join. The favorites of this contest are Tempo and his friend Katie. But Katie is missing. She pops up at the end of the stage. What are you talking about? The evil Zenza has kidnapped Katie. Huh? Will Tempo find the henchmen in their hideouts and get Katie back in time for the big contest? It's all up to you. Tempo Jr. was released on the Game Gear in 1995. This is a sequel? Or at the very least an alternate timeline of Tempo for the 32X. While it does share a lot of the same traits, there is one huge difference that separates these two games. You see, Tempo Jr. is a Sega Club game. These are games that were made for kids and they usually lean toward being relatively easy to get through. In fact, I just so happen to have a Sega Club poster myself. Wacky Worlds, I don't think I've ever played this one. Kids then become music director, adding their own music to the... Yo, can you make like Comic Zone style music to this? If you can make hot jams, I'll actually play this and like make a guide on it. Barbie Vacate... Wait, did I do it? No, that... What? Wasn't that Supermodel I played? Did Vacation Adventure ever get released? I don't recall that game actually getting released. Hot game tips and info on the newest Sega games. Hey, I already did this as a hobby. They should hire me. Now, if you think the front is cool, wait until you see the back. Boom! Look at this. You actually got a poster that you can color in. So obviously there's Sonic and Tails. I know those two. Echo seems really ecstatic to be colored in. I don't know why when that paint's gonna get washed off anyway. And on the top right we got Echo Jr. He looks really happy. Crystal Ponytail again, I guess. And I don't know who those two are. Maybe they're in the Archie comics or something. Sega Clubhouse sign-up form, only $7.95 plus $2 posting and handling for each 1-year membership. Wow, that's cheaper than Netflix. That's a steal. Honestly, if I was like in this timeline where I was able to like sign up, I definitely would. Because of that, I don't think a guide on this game is necessary. But considering I discovered multiple endings that players will have never seen from playing this game normally, I figured why not. So, let's go over the controls. Button 1 will snap a music note forward, and button 2 will jump. It's very simple at a glance, but there are other actions that Tempo can do. For movement, you can move faster by pressing left or right twice and holding said direction. You can't jump while dashing, but you can perform a roll attack by pressing button 1. If you press and hold button 2 while midair, Tempo will glide, and this is mandatory in certain sections in order to avoid pits and obstacles. As for his music note attack, it will only stun the regular enemies. If he moves into them while they're stunned, he will automatically kick them. Otherwise, he can kick enemies by pressing button 1 while close, or jump on them to defeat them. Defeating enemies by kicking or jumping can make them drop music notes that will increase Tempo's health. Speaking of health, Tempo can dance by pressing button 1 and 2 while his health is full. This will turn all of the enemies on screen into coins, but will also cause him to lose half of his health bar.
You can make everybody dance, which takes out everyone on the screen, but what's the point of doing that if it drains half your energy?
Not that you need to dance in this game since you can still get through it without doing so. If the long play coming up isn't enough, you can always check out the full guide below. Now to save Katie and stop Zenza aka King Dirge, I can't make sense of this game's lore. Alright, and this is going to be my playthrough of Tempo Jr. for the Sega Game Gear. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is a pretty easy game to get through, so the first thing we're going to do is check the options. And what you can do here is listen to the music of this game and change the number of lives. You can have up to 7 if you want. That's not necessary because I'm not going to be needing any lives in order to get through this one, so I'll leave it at 0, but throughout the game you can find 1-ups. So throughout this playthrough, I'm going to explain how the game works, how to get through it, and yeah, let's get straight into it. Now, unfortunately, unlike the 32X version, you cannot select the stage order. You have to play all of these stages in a set order, and yeah, it kind of sucks because like I do like the idea of like playing the stages in whichever order you want, but it is what it is, it's fine. So, the first stage, pretty simple. You can see to the left that I have 4 rows of health, and if I collect that, I'll now have 5,
and if you get up to 16, you can do your dance attack, which you will see sooner or later. Now, throughout this game, you see these notes. There's 3 different types. So I'm gonna grab the sharp, and this will change the arc of your music note attack. So now it's going slightly up in a curve. There's another one, I think it's the B flat, that it makes it curve down, and then there's the zigzag, which makes your music note zigzag. Alright, so I feel like I talked enough, so let's just try to breeze through this game, and we're going to get through it as quickly as possible. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to speedrun it, but I just want to explain a few aspects as we get into it. There's the CD, that restores 4 health points. And yeah, we're already close to getting our dance attack, so I just gotta kick and jump on a few more enemies to get it. And I'm just taking my time here so that I can, again, just so I can explain the mechanics and all that, but after that I'm going to go through this game as quick as possible. So you might realize, why is the screen turning dark? Why does tempo look very depressed? Well, that means there's a flower nearby, and if you hit this flower with a music note, that is a checkpoint. So keep that in mind. Now, I'm actually going to stand still here because if you notice, the arrow actually points to the exit. But here's the thing, it doesn't point to the golden key note, and I'll talk about that when we find it. So I'm just going to keep hitting these enemies. I don't think the rolling attack makes them drop health. It's mostly just kicking them and jumping on top of them, like that. So here's a gold coin. Gold coins are used to play minigames. If you press start, you can actually see how many coins you have left. Well, I only have 1 and I have 0 lives. So those are used to play minigames, and actually right here I'm going to do the dance. And there you go, it turns off. Oh wow, I actually caught an enemy off screen. So it turns nearby enemies into coins, and because there's a CD player here, I should say a CD, I get some of my health back. You do lose half your health from using the dance attack. So, yeah, alright, there it is. So the thing with Tempo Jr. is that unlike the 32X game, you actually have to find this golden key note right around here. Now the exit won't appear until you collect this golden key note, which is weird because when Tempo stands still, you see him point to the exit. But again, you can't exit the stage until you actually get this item, so it's important you find this first before you actually try to follow this arrow and exit the stage. Now, of course, they're relatively easy to find in each stage. There are like 1 or 2 that's a bit tricky, but it's not too bad. So I'm going to collect that right here, and now we can leave the stage. So I'm going to head to the right. Back onto that. And I think here I have to glide over a few pits. And that should be the end. Cool. And now we're in stage 1-2. So there are 4 worlds. Each one has 2 stages, and then after that will be a boss in each one. So this is stage 1-2. So from here, I won't have to explain as much since I pretty much went over most of this game already, like at least the mechanics, especially in the intro too. So yeah, I'm just going to try to speed through it. I won't use the dance attack as much because the thing is, I kinda want to go for the beach ending, and that's gonna require me to like have as at least to get it fast, I'll have to have as little lives as possible, which is why I set it up to 0. But we'll see when we get there. I'm thinking a bit too far ahead of myself. Alright, so that means there's a flower nearby, and let's open that up. Alright, beautiful. Well, open. Should say, make it alive, I guess. So the golden key note's to the left. I'm gonna have to do some platforming to the right first. So let's go right. So yeah, something about this game, I guess, because there isn't too much to talk about since this game is very simple. I guess I might as well talk about, there's a 1 up there, but I'm not gonna need it. I guess I might as well talk about, I guess this game and the 32X version. So, obviously this game, it's really easy. The 32X version is, I feel that it's difficult for all of the wrong reasons, like, okay, maybe start with this game first, I guess. So, Tempo Jr., one of the small, I mean, I know it's a kid's game, I'm gonna cut some slack. I think it's a good game, but one of the issues I have is that compared to the 32X version, movement doesn't feel as, like, snappy. Does that make sense? Because, like, for example, when you dash, you can't, like, jump while dashing. You have to stop first. Which wasn't a thing in the 32X version. You can actually run and do, like, a running jump, which covered so much ground. And I'm pretty sure I used it a lot of times during the speedrun I did of it way back then. Alright, so I think I'm too far to the left. The golden keynote is to the right. There we go. And now the exit should appear to the top left. And coming up is the first boss. So I'll get back to talking about this game in a bit. Let's go over the first boss fight, which is pretty easy. You got this clown here. Now there are two ways to handle him. You can either try to throw keynotes like this. You can see that sometimes he blocks it, sometimes he doesn't. Or you can try to kick him up close, but most likely he's just going to hit you. And you can just keep trading like this if you want, because the thing is, when you get into a boss fight, you start with max health. Now, something I didn't mention in the intro is that you can't use your dance attack against the bosses. It's disabled even if you have full health. And yeah, if you got health to spare, which is going to be the case if you start this fight with full health, you can just do this. Now, if you don't want to trade hits, if you're trying to do this without getting hit, you can just jump on him instead. It'll make him cartwheel. And yeah, you just keep doing that, and that's it. Pretty easy first boss. And yeah, there's Katie, even though the game's plot says that she's captured. I don't understand. Alright, so yeah, stage clear. Now, every time you get through an entire stage, or I should say a world, you can play a minigame. There are two different minigames. There is Sound Trace, and I think the other one's called Hit and Hit. So the first one is Sound Trace. This is pretty much Simon Says. So fa. And yeah, you just keep going. If you get far enough, you can actually get a 1-up. I don't know if there's anything after that, because I never got that far. But you can do this to get extra points, 1-ups, and each attempt costs a coin, and you can keep going as long as you have coins to spare. If you want to stop playing the minigame, you just press start. And like, yeah, you can just leave and head to the next stage. But yeah, you can keep playing as long as you have coins to spare. So I am going to, how can I say this? I'm going to try my best to get a really good attempt here. I'm only going to do one attempt of each minigame. I'm not going to, I feel like if I try to use all of my coins here, I'm going to be playing this game for a very long while. Now, it is going to get to a point where I actually have to focus and remember all of this, so if I don't talk for the rest of this, then you know why. Alright, let's actually focus here. Okay. Make sure not to go too fast, because I've done that once and it caused me to make an error. Okay. It does start getting faster the longer you go. Okay. No! I slipped up. That was my bad. Well, I just want to show off the Sound Trace minigame. What did I miss? Was it? Whatever. Anyways, you press start, say continue yes or no. If you click yes, click. If you select yes, it'll just make you do another attempt by spending a coin. I think one attempt's enough for this playthrough, so let's keep moving on and keep this playthrough short. Because trust me, if I use up all of the coins I'm collecting in this playthrough, we are going to be here for a very, very long time. So for the second stage, it is Through the Woodwinds Performance. Why Through the Woodwinds, even though there is no wood to be seen? Because if you don't know, the flute and the clarinet instruments are part of the woodwind group. Yeah. Anyways, pretty simple stage, again, it's not too bad. So I'm going to try to get through this as fast as I can, so that this playthrough isn't too long. And yeah, I'm about to get back to talking about tempo. I should say, oh wait, I gotta go right here, that's right. So, with this game, it's definitely not a speedrun game, or like a game that's very challenging, obviously. Cause like, I don't know, like movement just doesn't feel great, and like it just doesn't, which is weird because even though I prefer the movement of tempo for the 32X, that game's movement also has issues where like you can crash into walls. If you jump into the ceiling, it actually causes you to lose momentum and you bump your head. Like, that one has problems too. It's just, this one is just, it's really tame, you know? It's not bad, no. I don't think it makes it a bad, I don't think the movement being as good makes it like a bad game or something. But yeah, like it's just not as flexible, that's all. At least compared to the 32X version. But it's not at all like a complaint I have with this game. Just a small nitpick, that's all. Now you might have realized there that there's a checkpoint up there, but I don't need it. You might have realized that I fell into a pit and bounced back up. I think that happened earlier too. And if you thought the game wasn't like easy enough, that just makes it even easier because like the fact that you expect bottomless pits to take away like a complete life, but no, it just bounces you back up and deal 1 point of damage. And yeah, I should have mentioned that all enemies and bosses only deal 1 point of damage, so once you have a full health bar, there's really no way you can like mess up in this game. At least until your health goes back to like 4 points or something. Alright, so I just got the golden key now, and I think to the left should be the exit. So I'm just keep going through this path. I could be wrong. I should mention that I haven't practiced this game too much because, again, it's a really easy game. It doesn't require that much practice, I think. The exit should definitely be here. There we go. But yeah, really the only issue I could see some players having with this is just finding the keynote. But once you know where it is, it's really not that bad. And even then, it's like, oh wow, I actually jumped on that projectile. But even then, like, the game is still relatively simple to get through. It's not that bad. And I think that's fine. There's nothing wrong with, what other game was it that, like, it was very easy and I thought it was, oh, you know what? It was Barbie Supermodel, that's right. That's another game where I was like, you know what? Like, the game's really short. There's not much to it, but, like, for a kid's game, it's not bad. Again, it's really short, don't get me wrong, but I still think it's an alright game. It was definitely... Maybe I mentioned it in that video. I think it was at least worth a rental, like, for, like, kids or whatnot. I can't imagine an adult wanting to, like, going out of their way to, like, play it unless they're, like, a huge Barbie fan, I guess. But yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with a game being easy. In fact, like, there are some cases where... I don't remember what game it was where, like, I remember some people didn't like it because it was too hard or something, and, like, there was no option to lower the difficulties. Because nowadays you have so many games coming out, and, like, there's always, like, a bunch of difficulties, and there's always, like, that very easy mode in case, like, you really don't want to, like, interact with the game. And that's fine, I got nothing against that. There's nothing wrong with playing the game at your leisure. I do think that, like, sometimes... Oh, I'm getting into some different topics that's not even related to tempo, but I feel like it's worth talking about, so why not? And what I'm trying to say is that I do feel like sometimes, wait, am I close to the boss, or... I'm about to find out. I'll be, Hold on. I'm trying to make sure I'm not, like, going too fast, because I feel like I'm rambling and all that, and I'm barely, like, paying attention to where I'm going, which isn't good, because I might end up getting lost if I'm not careful. Oh yeah, the golden keynote's over there. Oh, that's very embarrassing on my end. I'm sorry. Alright, anyways, as I was saying. So, I'm gonna take a hit here, but that's okay. The thing with games and, like, being easier and being harder is that, like, you know, all these difficulty settings. Difficulty, I feel it can always, no matter what game it is, it can always, like, change someone's opinion on a game, and it really depends on what kind of difficulty we talk about, because obviously, you know, some games are harder than others, but the question is how and why. Like, you have some games that are, like, they're very good, but they're very hard. Like, the controls play well, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just really hard because, like, it expects you to be good and make use of, like, every mechanic or whatever. But then you also have games where, the controls are bad, or maybe there's something that's, like, the CPU will always know, or whatever the case may be. Like, there's a lot of factors, you know? Anyways, here's the frog. Pretty easy boss fight. You can, just like the first boss and pretty much every other boss, you can't damage him with your notes. His only attacks is either summoning these frogs, or he will charge its head at you. Now, when it charges its head, you can actually get caught in it, and he will drag you in. But again, since bosses only deal 1 point of health, you shouldn't have any trouble here. So I'm just going to do the same thing of attacking and jumping. I'll probably try to show off me getting hit, like right here. Because the thing is, when you... Oh wow, you can actually find it. That was a long animation. I'm trying to get hit on purpose, but it's not going through. Here we go. So yeah, it looks like that, whatever. So, yeah, pretty easy boss. You can... Okay, I'm not trying to get hit twice. Jeez. Okay. There we go. Alright, cool. So, yeah. The thing with, like, difficulty in video games is that, like, if... I feel that when a game is too hard, it makes someone think that it's awful, and when a game is too easy, it makes someone think that, like, there's not much to it. Like, there's plenty of examples of this. I can't really think of them at the moment, but yeah. Alright, so this is Hit and Hit. And is this the music from the pizza minigame? From Tempo 32X? I think it is. So I'm going to insert a coin by pressing button 1. And now we have to press button 1 to stop this light. So I'm going to try to stop it at 10,000. Oh wow, I actually stopped at the 1 up. And from here what you have to do is use button 2 when the meter is either matching the light on the left or the light on the right. So I can either hit it kinda low to reach the 1 up on the left, or I can try to hit it high to reach the 1 up on the right. So I'm gonna try to hit it high here. Oh wow, I actually got it. Beautiful. But yeah, I just do that once. I just want to show that off. And yeah, if you're wondering, the question mark, it just gives a random amount of points. So, like, I think it gives up to 10,000, but usually when I got the question mark, it was like 5,000 or 500, 1,000. But yeah, cool minigame. I think it's fine. It's definitely the minigame you want to do if you're trying to, like, use up your coins fast or something. Alright, so, time for the third stage. And I'm pretty sure this is the Wonderland Performance. One of my favorite stages in Tempo for 32X. I think I like it as much here. Oh, that's right, I get to show off something cool. So, now, something I didn't mention in the intro, you can use up to look up and down to look down. Now, you ready to see some speedrun tactics? Check this out. I'm going to jump and glide to the right, and the second I fall, I'm going to dash to the right. And then jump away, and there you go. We just skipped a ton of the stage. So that's a neat little trick you can do if you want to get through the stage faster. Do you have to do it? No, but if you want to, you can. And yeah, already up to the checkpoint too. Really good. Obviously, you do have to take a few hits in order to do it, but other than that, I think it's worth. So to the left here is the keynote, and now we just gotta get to the exit. So, back on the topic of Tempo Junior, I guess. So, I think this game is like... How can I say this? Obviously, the movement is different and all that. In some ways, I think it's better than the 32X version, just from like... Because the thing with the 32X version is that there's just... don't get me wrong, the 32X Tempo is one of my favorite platformers. Like, on a personal level, I don't think it's a great, like, oh, it's a perfect platformer, it's better than, like, Mario or something, but just for me personally, I love it, you know? Probably because of, like, the characters and the music and all that. But, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in the guide too, it does have its fair share of issues, especially with, like, the movement and all that. But I think it's a fun little game. This game is pretty good too. And yeah, I don't have much else to say about this game. It's just really simple and there's not a lot to it. I still can't get over the recent video I did on this where I found this, like, that there was 3 extra endings in this game, because when I found the beach ending, it was by one of the funniest accidents, I think. I think if I wasn't doing a guide on this game, I don't think I would have ever seen the beach ending. And the reason I say that is because I'm pretty sure I gotta go to the right here. So, when I was playing this game on my own, I was just doing a casual playthrough, just trying to figure out stuff and, like, you know, just see what this game's about before I do a guide on it. And going into it, I knew that it was a simple game, that it wasn't, like, very hard. But still, I just wanted to play it for myself before I, like, start making a guide. Now, when I got up to the last boss, which is pretty easy, I made a save state. Well, actually, no, I didn't make a save state. I instead, I think what I did was, I was making save states of each level because I wanted to get the passwords for them. And so when I got up to the final boss, I What did I do? I lost the continue on purpose. Like, I purposely lost all of my lives, and it sent me to the continue screen because I wanted to get the password for the boss so that, you know, if I feel like it, I could always use that password to go back to him, and mainly so that I can add all of the passwords to the guide. Because, you know, there are cheat codes for this game, and there is one that lets you do a level select. But when I did that continue, like when I continued at the final boss, little did I know that I actually was on my way to the beach ending. Because if you aren't aware, if you haven't seen my previous video, oh, by the way, this stage has a lot of spikes, so be careful of that. So if you aren't aware, this game has multiple endings, but it depends on your points. And the way it works is the best ending is by getting... Oh, wow, I did not want to get hit. Jeez, didn't want to get hit there. So to get the best ending, it requires 1 over 100,000 points. Like 100,000 points or more, I think. The problem is... oh yeah, this boss is really easy. Just walk up and kick and avoid snowballs. And when it shoots straight, just duck. Really simple. So, on the topic of the endings, the way it works is... most people will always get the best ending. I remember looking up videos after I found the beach ending because I'm like, yo, did anyone else ever see this? And as I expected, I couldn't really find any videos on it, let alone pictures even. So the way it works is that because the final boss gives you 50,000 points when you defeat it, and because like having a ton of coins will also give you extra points, you will most likely get the best ending even if you use a continue there. But like, in general, if you get through this game without continuing, you're going to get the best ending no matter what, because defeating these bosses, you know, getting all these points and all that is giving me score, right? Like right now, I already have 52,000, and that's without really playing it like the mini games all that much. So you can imagine that when a person plays through this game, a game that's really easy, like there's not really much of a reason for you to use a continue here, unless you're slipping up really hard. Wait, this theme? Is this the hi-fi theme? Oh yeah, this has to be. Yeah, it is. I was wondering, like, this sounded familiar. The thing is, when I was making a guide on this game, I was listening to some other music on the side, so I never got to appreciate this game's OST as much. It's pretty good. So yeah. Oh, watch this right here. You can actually do this, and you skip a chunk of that part, and now I just head to the right. So, because you're almost always guaranteed to get over 100,000 points when you beat the game, it means that you're never really going to see, you're always going to get the best ending no matter what. So the way I got the beach ending was because I use a continue, I actually got, it put my score to 0, because that's what happens when you use a continue in this game, you lose all of your points. Now, every coin you have when you beat the game, it will give you an extra 3,000. So if you have like, let's say you have 20 coins saved up, right, from like doing the dances and all that, you will get 60,000 points, and with on top of the 50,000 points you get from defeating the final boss, that means you get the best ending. Because I didn't have that many coins when I got up to the final boss, and because I used a continue there, I accidentally got the beach ending, and all because I just wanted to see what the password was for like getting up to the last boss. Because when you use a continue, you have the option to see what the password is, or what the password is, in order to like go back to that stage. Which is funny because you might be wondering, okay, well, how is the beach ending hard to get? I mean, all you need is like less than 100,000 points. Why not just use a password and skip to the final boss with 0 points? You can do this. There's only one problem that the game doesn't tell you until you actually finish it. You see, if you beat this game with... Oh, that's unfortunate. I have to do all of this walking again. Oh, boy. I really should be focusing more, but it's okay. So, if you beat this game and you only have 0 coins, what happens is the game gives you way more of a bonus. In fact, you get, if I'm not mistaken, 768,000 points for beating this game without any coins. Which is crazy to think about, and I think that alone, because, you know, some people you can just level select and all that, but I think because of that reason, not many people have ever seen the beach ending. Now, like, again, the requirements for it is you need at least 1 coin, not too many, and you have to use a continue or have 0 points going into the final boss. So it's just insane to think that this whole time you got a kids game where the endings, like getting the second ending is very difficult. Like it's very, you know what? No, it's not difficult. It's just very specific. Like I found it out by accident, but I've never like thought about it intentionally. I didn't even know about it until that happened. Now the funny part is there are 2 extra endings, and again, if you've seen my previous video, you would know that these endings are impossible to get because they require 2 little points. The guitar ending, I think you need less than 50,000, or at least exactly 50,000, but the problem is that when you face the final boss, hitting him gives you points, and because of that, you're always going to have just like barely over 50,000 when you beat the game. So the guitar ending is never happening, and the ending with the pan when they're cooking the egg, you're probably never gonna see that either because that ending requires less than like 10,000 points, and that's just not happening with the final boss. And that's, you know, it still gets me because like I remember when I did the video on like the endings to Tempo 32X, how it's just incredibly difficult to get the best endings without like doing a ton of grinding. Thankfully, sometime after that video, I actually did manage to get the best ending in just barely under an hour, just to prove that it is possible without doing like hours and hours upon grinding. Because obviously, like, you can't use minigames to grind in Tempo 32X, but they take way too long. So I'm glad I was able to do it without having to resort to that, and it was really fun to it was fun to figure out. It was very difficult to like pull off consistently, because I was like, man, I think I was just getting tired of the grind. I was doing it late at night, so it's fine. Alright, so this boss, pretty easy. Actually, I'm going to show you the strat here. So she's going to do this move. What you want to do is kick her once or twice, and then you want to move at like move the opposite direction and duck to avoid the attack. So I'm gonna move left a bit and then duck. Alright, just kick once or twice and then move right, duck. Do the same thing here. I moved too close there, but that's fine. Again, because you start with so much health, it's very hard to like actually lose to these bosses. And if you do lose to them, similar to the 32X version, they actually do dance on you, and that's oh man. I remember those used to get me really angry in the 32X version when I was trying to speedrun it, because it's like, even if I was getting a good time, because they had a big dance animation after they defeat you, it just costed me so much time. I'm like, okay, I might as well just reset the game and stop. And yes, with that, we are close to the end of the game. So, you might be thinking, well, that means 3 more stages, right? Nope. What this means is a grudge match. There are 2 of them, in fact. Now, this part is interesting because, so right there it says return match. The way this works is, randomly, I mean, I don't know what determines it, but you have to reface 2 of the bosses you fought. Now, I don't know which ones, like, I don't know if it's random, I don't know if there's something that determines which 2 you face, but the point is, you have to face, no matter what, you have to face at least 2 bosses. It's never more than that, it's like 3 or 4, just 2 of the bosses you fought at random. And again, the bosses are pretty easy, and you do get some of your health back when, well, you do get all your health back per boss fight. So when that happens, yeah, you can just get hit there. There are times where the penguin isn't fast enough to hit you during that, so you can just escape. But there's no way to like escape by mashing the buttons. You just have to stay in that animation till the game lets you go. Okay, pretty easy boss fight as usual. Now for one more boss, I don't know which one it's gonna be. I hope it's the frog because he's pretty easy. Nope, we got the bees. Alright, that's fine. Well, the bee. In the 32X game is actually a... Oh, she went straight down this time. That's fine. In the 32X game is actually 2 bees that are... all 3 of them that are facing you, and only one of them actually takes damage. But either way, it's pretty easy. So, just going to do the same strat I just showed you. Duck right here. Okay, I'm actually messing it up a bit. But yeah, you can see that even though I am like messing up a lot, I'm still able to get through this like without losing a life. Alright, there we go. I need to duck here. And yeah, that was the beast. And now, because we defeated 2 bosses in the grudge matches, it's time for the final boss. So I guess you can treat these 2 fights like stage 5-1 and 5-2 of this game. And you can see my points there. And yeah, it's time for the final stage, and it's just 1 boss and that's it. And it's probably the easiest boss in this game. The final Showdown Performance. So all you want to do is just walk up to him and just mash the attack button. Sometimes he will hit you, but most of the times you should get like 1 or 2 or 3 hits in before he's able to. And if you can get into a rhythm, I think it might be possible to keep him like in that pattern. I don't know. But yeah, pretty easy boss fight. If you want to take this a step further, you can actually go I'll show this off actually. I'm gonna go behind him, and I'm actually going to do a dash attack because this works too. So you can see that I'm delaying it a bit, and he's not able to turn around. So yeah, pretty easy. And that is Tempo Jr. for the Sega Game Gear. I don't know if I'll show the other endings. I mean, I already did a video on the endings of this game, so maybe I'll put a link like in the description or something. So if you want to see the other endings to this game, you can always check out that video below. And yeah, I already said everything I wanted to say about this game. I mean, like, you know, it's a game made for kids. It's pretty easy to beat. That is the best ending. It's relatively like, it's kind of short if you know what you're doing, but other than that, it's pretty lengthy, I think. Especially if like you're playing the minigames and all that, and like it's your first time playing. But yeah, this is a pretty good game. I can't really imagine myself coming back to this since this game is good, but I'd rather go back to something like Tempo 32X. Maybe try doing a speed run into the Sega 32X decides to start having graphical issues, you know? But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this long play, and with that said, I'll see you later.